Today is the 31st of October 2022, and this is the weekend where uh, we were celebrating the coronation of our king, King Misizulu. Everybody in the royal family seems to accept the fact that King Misizulu will be the king, and my own opinion says that King Misizulu will be the most trouble-laden king because he looks like Cetshwayo, and Cetshwayo did not enjoy his kingship. I suspect that King Misizulu will suffer the same fate, but I'm praying that with the wisdom of people like ourselves, we will talk to the king and make sure that he escapes the onslaught from other nations, because he comes to the monarch at a time when Chinese are scrambling for Africa, Pakistanese are scrambling, and the people, the children in Africa are victims of things like drugs, nyaope, if you like, and we've got a lot of what we call amapara. And fortunately, the king has stated that one of his ambitions is to do away with amapara, make sure that no one becomes a para, because people becomes amapara because then they don't go to school and they are not working. So in order for us to solve the problem, it's either that these children will be working or will be at school. One of the two. They can't be in the streets. There should be police who go around and pick up everyone who's just idling and not doing anything. So education is free in South Africa. Everybody should be at school and learning a trade, because I think the best thing for now is to change our system of education and stop the Bantu education that was imposed by whites in order to keep us ignorant as we are. As it is now, we've got people in government who do not know how to govern because they were given inferior education, and all they do is to steal and make sure that our country becomes a failed state. So I hope with the entrance of this king, he will make sure that the first thing, because I've also heard him saying something to the effect of using the land to produce food so that nobody goes to bed in an empty stomach. If the king can do that, because the other day I was traveling to Ladysmith and I went past a place called Bawanango, and I saw a vast land there where I believe is not owned by anyone. It belongs to them, to the natives, and it's just laying there. Nobody's using it. Imagine if we can go and fence that land and start producing food for export and for subsistence, for the nation to survive. So those are the projects that the king should embark on in order to change the situation, because the moment there is plenty of food, poverty will be the thing of the past. So we are pleading with our king to say he must make sure that these projects are started, and all the people who are idling in towns and cities are brought to these places to come and work, because you'd see them running around carrying plastics and collecting scrap metals. That's work. Collecting scrap metals, walking around kilometers, that is work. They should be doing that, helping in the farms and growing food, instead of selling scraps in order to get a fix of nyaope. So that's what we need to do. And another thing, people should start realizing that political parties are not here to help them with anything. We've had political parties for years, and if you ask them what they have done for the masses, they haven't done a thing for the masses. They have no plan. They don't know what all they want to do is to come to power so that they can exploit taxpayers' monies for their benefit. South Africans should be awake now. This thing of become fanatics, following a human being and becoming the member of a cult, because as it is now, South Africans are only members of a cult, whether it's Malema's cult or Ramaphosa's cult or whichever leader cult, Herman Mashaba or Helen Zilla's cult, which does not do anything for the masses. You need to vote for somebody who says, in 6 months' time, I would have so much land fenced in so that people can produce food. I will negotiate with the producers of implements like tractors and other equipment for agriculture to give some implements to natives so that they can produce food and pay later. Banks should negotiate with banks so that people can start producing and having universities helping with marketing the product that is being produced in other countries. That way we can have free education and we can have employment to such an extent that we might even have to go to other African nations to come and work here so that we can produce more food. We can even go to the SADC countries or other African countries to go there and expand the project so that more food is produced in Africa and nobody goes to bed in an empty stomach. Nobody has to leave home and go to another country in order to get food, whereas they have their own land. There's so much land in Congo, but the Congolese are busy fighting amongst themselves because everybody wants to be president. They've got one person whom they want to be president and they start killing each other. It's going to happen here in South Africa because we've got people like Malema who wants to be president, and there's going to be a fight with the ANC because somebody wants Malema to be president and people must die. And we know that once Malema comes to power, what is going to happen is going to provoke countries like America to come and attack us. It's going to talk trash to the Americans, and Americans who cannot handle. If you say anything negative about the Americans, they will come and kill you. And in the process, they will be killing the nation because obviously the Malema fanatics are going to resist and the Americans are going to bomb them. Here we are talking about people who do not know how to handle a gun, because the best South African president will introduce a phenomenon where people after matric should be conscripted to the army and be trained as how to use firearms, because we are faced with a situation where Chinese will come and take over this country and we don't have guns. We are just good abiding citizens who don't carry any firearms. So if anybody comes here with the AK-47, and they can just kill us and take our country. So we have to make sure that now we start training our kids at least to be able to handle guns so that they can be able to defend themselves when organizations like ISIS, Boko Haram, and all these organizations that are ravaging Africa today come, so they can all be able to protect themselves militarily. Because our army, I do not trust our army that it can stand the guerrilla warfare of these organizations. So it is good that everyone be prepared for war, because war is imminent. There's no going back. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. these people have planned, and these other nations who would like to enslave African are busy arming them so that there's going to be chaos, and they will come in as sort of peacemakers, but they are the ones who are going to benefit at the end of the day, because you cannot trust Europeans. Europeans have been in this country for many years causing havoc. So they will continue, they will find another way that we won't be able to recognize that is actually another way of colonization of slavery, but in a very subtle manner. So we need to be vigilant and make sure that it does not happen, not in our lifetime. Jambo Africa.